All right, folks, welcome back. PrepperNow. I want to talk about what things would look like if there was a limited exchange between Pakistan and India. As we've all been looking at the events over the last 24 hours, it's getting pretty testy over there. So I've been looking at things. We're kind of in a holding pattern right now. We don't know how Pakistan is going to respond. India, of course, has sent over their response to the Pahalgam attack of late April. I think it was the 23rd or 4th. 25 Indians died in that, one Nepali. So they said they're going to go after terrorist cells and stuff. And here we are. Well, as we all know, they're both nuclear powers. And so I just wanted to give you an idea, because it's not real good, of what would happen in a limited exchange between the two. Now, of course, yesterday we covered on the apocalypse video another reason to prep, something out of left field, of course, incoming potential of AI and what it could do. And some analysts and people, futurists, are saying that there's like a 1 in 5 chance that they could undo the entire human race. Well, of course, this would have some negative effects as well if we were to have a limited exchange between India and Pakistan. So, being of the more academic mind here, we don't like to do hyperbole. We like to do thoughtful discussion. And the crisis report was where we started to cover this basically before most of the other channels, if not all of them, over on my other channel. It's youtube.com/crisis report, @crisis report. I need help over there, friends. They've cut it off. It's completely shadow banned. So let me give you an example. May 2nd, I had 8 new viewers. 8 new viewers. Look at that video. Back in February, I would get 200 to 300 a day. I'm not looking for the world, but I don't know what their problem is with that channel. They've had a problem since the beginning. So if you could help me out and go check it out. And the reason why is because you're going to find stuff out on that channel that is much quicker, much more ahead of the game than everybody else. And that's the only thing I can think of, is that because we do it there ahead of everybody else, they don't like it. So what would it look like for a limited exchange? So here are 2 main factors. Number 1, most important effect is the rapid incineration of a modern city. Why? Well, it contains a lot of plastic now. It supplies black carbon. Particular conditions will lead to cooling if that gets up into the atmosphere. This would be like World War II, Dresden, Tokyo firebombing and stuff. Modern cities are larger and have a different composition now than they did. They used to have a lot of wood. Now they have a lot of plastics and stuff. And the heat of a thermonuclear explosion will vary, but also will kick up a lot of dust into the air. And with the plastics, it would have a toxicity that former conflicts did not have, specifically Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So the explosion at first could punch through the tropopause, facilitating the transport up to the troposphere, okay, which would global disperse the particulates and aid in the cooling of the Earth's atmosphere. So many of these, the fires are enough to create enough heat that it would not just, start with the punching through of the tropopause into the troposphere, but it would transport material to the stratosphere. And so people are going to say, oh, well, we have wildfires all the time. This is a little bit different, okay? So I went to nature.com and I looked through one of their academic papers about this. This is from 2022, and this is what they said for a regional nuclear exchange. They said large parts of the world are going to suffer from famine, and people would, of course, act accordingly. So crops fed to livestock, human food, livestock itself would decrease the total amount of food available globally, especially with large atmospheric soot injections, when the growth of feed crops and pastures would be severely impaired by the resulting climate perturbation. It would really affect the calorie intake of the average human being in the northern hemisphere. Severe crop declines, major exporting countries to Russia and the United States would trigger export restrictions and cause severe disruptions. Basically, the entire logistics system of food would break down. So this would affect fisheries. This would affect vegetables coming from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. This would affect our caloric intake. And current food storage would alleviate the shortage in year one, but it would severely impact and get less in year two with rationing by governments and more. Also, there's the availability of fuel, fertilizer, and infrastructure just to create the food after destruction and war. So ask yourself, if there were, and there probably won't be, I'm just spitwadding here, what would it look like in a limited exchange between India and Pakistan, just to basically help you and your family do the basics of just getting food? What would it look like to price? What would it look like to availability? What would a limited exchange look like? And I can tell you, once you take a deep dive and you get past all the hyperbole and you go to places like nature.com, you would figure out very quickly that you better be prepping, and you better have at least a few months of food on hand to make it through any kind of the cataclysm that I think is coming. All right, friends, if you like what we're doing here, hit the buttons and stuff. Join us. Go check out the crisis report, please. Help us out there, and we will see you on the next one.